Hello, everybody, and welcome to a bonus episode of Beach Talk Radio. My name is Ed Ryan, and I'm your host for the next 30 minutes. Bonus episodes of Beach Talk Radio focus on the most important issues facing beach residents and visitors. Today's topic is the Estero Boulevard Road construction. It's been a huge hassle for residents and businesses for years. It brings traffic to a standstill during the busiest time of the year, but it needed to be done. The project was originally planned to take 10 years. However, that has been cut in half, and we're about to find out how. At the same time the road is being rebuilt, the town is replacing water mains. But there are many other agencies involved in this massive project being done in a very small space, as all of you know. Our guests today are from Chris-Tel Construction, Project Manager Darin Brown, and Marketing and Public Relations Manager Molly Scott. Here is bonus episode number 1 of Beach Talk Radio. Can you guys give me some background on the company and what you guys do for the company?
Sure. Chris-Tel Construction is a local construction management and general contracting firm here in Fort Myers, locally owned and operated since 1989. We have our main office on Edison Avenue, which is near downtown Fort Myers, and we work in a 5-county radius, so serving Lee, Collier, Hendry, Charlotte County and Glades County. We do everything from commercial construction over $2 million, site civil construction, and special projects, which is anything under $2 million. We have about 36 employees, full-time employees. We have our local office, like I said, is on Edison. We've also got a field office there on Estero Boulevard at Lovers Lane, and we are currently finishing up a project on 47th Terrace with a field office there. So we do anything from education, aviation, industrial, site civil, high-end residential, multifamily, historic, pretty much anything of the gamut. And
your roles with the company?
My name is Molly Scott, and I'm the marketing manager, manager of marketing and public relations. And with me, we've got Darin Brown, who's our manager of site civil construction and the project manager for the Estero Boulevard improvements project.
So, Darin, when did the project begin?
As far as construction goes, we started in the fall of 2015 in segment 1, which ran basically from Crescent Street down to Lovers Lane. And we're currently in segment 2, working our way south from that point.
How many segments will there be total, and how far down is the project going?
Well, it's funny, the project started off to be 7 segments, I believe, total. That's since been reduced down to a lower amount of segments, running a little bit longer, but the project will go the full length of the island and stop short of the bridge on the south side.
And was there a specific reason that the segments were there were fewer segments, just because the other ones were bigger?
Right. What we did is we looked at the project as a whole, and the original duration for the project was going to be upwards of 10 years. So the project team, to include Chris-Tel and the county and the designers and everybody, looked for ways to condense that overall time frame and complete the project. Right now, we are scheduled to complete the project to the end of the island by December of 2021. Shaving an overall duration almost in half for that job to try and minimize the impact on everybody in the long term.
How were you able to shave that much time off a 10-year project?
What we did is we sat down as a whole project team. That means Lee County and their portion of Estero Boulevard in conjunction with the town of Fort Myers Beach and their water main project, and looked at how we can sequence this and combine the design efforts and take, instead of 1 mile at a time, design it and then build it. After segment 2, we're going to focus on 2 miles at a time. That shaved duration off in design time, and then that transferred into construction time as well.
So tell us, how many projects are actually going on at the same time, Darin?
As far as the county's going, we have, our project, which is Estero Boulevard. But in conjunction with that, you've also got the town of Fort Myers Beach and their project, which are the water lines on Estero Boulevard and the side streets. The water mains are working out ahead of us. Currently, they're in the area that is between Madeira and roughly Lazy Way, installing new water mains in the southbound lane. And we're behind them, working between Lover's Lane and Strandview on segment 2, doing the roadway work that follows. Then in conjunction with that, you have several other utility providers that are also working in conjunction and coordination with the rest of us for upgrades to their facilities, such as FP&L, doing a hardening and basically intensifying their system down there to be more stable in storms. Comcast is working with them because they run their lines on the FP&L poles. We also have CenturyLink doing a host of projects in the area to relocate their infrastructure and also install new infrastructure in coordination with our project. You have Tico Peoples Gas, who has piggybacked both the water main and the roadway work to install new gas service to various customers on the island. And then you have a couple private internet providers that have also joined their forces with ours to get infrastructure in the ground, that being Crown Castle and Summit Broadband.
So you had nearly 10 different companies working on this project at the same time. How difficult is it to coordinate all of that?
I mean, it's a challenge. It's a tough project. You have a limited right-of-way and a lot of work that has to go into the ground. But that's what the whole team does. We work together as an entire team, the town, the county, the town's contractors, us as the construction manager for the county, plus all of our subcontractors, to determine what needs to go in place first and what that sequence needs to be to get all these parts and pieces into a very tight right-of-way with a lot of existing things in the ground already.
So talk about the water main replacement. What are you seeing there, and why is it important for that to be done? What was wrong with that situation that caused it to need to be replaced the way it is?
The water main system on the beach was an older system. I know they had a lot of issues with maintenance over time and having to do repairs. And with the roadway coming through and building a new roadway, it just made sense to go ahead and replace the water mains in conjunction with that roadway work. So that way the infrastructure on the beach is all new and functioning and will be a lot more beneficial to the end user and to the town. So they're working in conjunction with the project to get that done so we're not, doing double the work or coming back later or what have you.
What happened in that first phase that caused the project to something needed to be redone in that first phase? And did the groups learn from what happened there so that it could be avoided again? It doesn't seem like it has happened again along the way.
Right. Well, the first phase was unique. That was the core area. A lot of businesses, a lot of traffic, as you know, down there, and a very tight right-of-way. We were only in a 50-foot right-of-way. When the water main went through, they did their part and installed the water main, and we learned from that experience that we may need to modify traffic patterns to be a little more user-friendly. So we had to develop a plan to get 2 lanes of traffic and a pedestrian way functioning while we did the construction, which really limited, what we could do. We could only build 1 lane at a time, pick up and move over. Part of this job is we're taking a traditional crowned road, which means that the center of the road is higher than the edges. Is your traditional road. The water runs off to the edges into a storm drain system and then goes away from there. Because of the lack of the available right-of-way and the amount of utilities that existed at the right-of-way line, a traditional drainage system wasn't practical or feasible. So the design team, the engineers, did what's called an inverted crown, which channels the water towards the center. And when you see that center brick paver area, that's actually the storm drain system. Those pervious brick pavers allow water to penetrate through into what's called a large French drain. And inside of that French drain is a series of pipes and structures that convey the stormwater runoff from Estero down a predetermined set of outfalls, which are on the side streets, that in turn convey that water to the back bay. Now, not only does that storm drain system convey the water, but it also provides a place to store the water, and it also helps with the water quality standards. So water that's discharged into the bay has a degree of treatment to it, so we're not putting anything, bad into the back bay. But with that system, that new system, we ran into a couple issues as we were going. We realized we needed to do some more work on some increased stability measures and making sure everything fit and functioned right. So the team came together and we developed a different process for doing that center. And we've employed that new process and new standard detail into segment 2 and then future segments as well.
Talk about the brick pavers again. I've never seen that before. Is that something that's being used more and more? And is there a reason why it was chosen specifically for Estero Boulevard?
The paving system is being used more and more. They actually have several other projects in the state of Florida. Estero Boulevard is one of their largest projects where they were installing the system. A previous paver is not a relatively new technology. It's just, being developed more and more. And the reason that this particular paver system was used was A, for the amount of water that could be transferred through that system, and B, for the stability it provides on a roadway for vehicular traffic.
And that'll last a long time, the way that's set up, those pavers?
Yeah, that system's designed to function well. It's got a cleaning regimen that will be done to keep it clean and keep it functioning, but it's designed to last a long term.
You mentioned the how thin the road is. Have you ever been involved in a project where there's almost like no space to do the work?
Right, and this project, and a lot of us will speak to that. The whole project team has years and years of experience on roadway construction, and this project, particularly segment 1 and segment 2, has been one of the most challenging for all of us, simply because of the degree of limited space you have to work in and all the constraints and components that go into the job and what you have to work around. Maintaining two-way traffic, vehicular access for people in their driveways, mail delivery, trash collection, being able to get emergency services through the work areas, and with seasonal traffic on top of all that, really presents some very unique challenges that you really won't find anywhere else.
What can the residents and the businesses expect this season? Things are going to start to pick up a lot in the next couple of weeks. What do you want them to know about that area as it really gets crowded down there?
Well, you're going to have the seasonal traffic is going to be there, and it's going to be slow regardless. Now, construction being there, we'll have construction activities going on during season. And what you've seen down there, a lot of people see is there's a whole lot of equipment down there that may not be used on a daily basis, but we have all the equipment that we need in place down there, so we can limit the amount of equipment we have to take on and off the island or back and forth from our storage yard, which is 6 miles to the south. When you're dealing with limited real estate and a fairly narrow right-of-way, you got to kind of keep your equipment and your materials close to you so you can effectively work. Now, we'll have the seasonal traffic, and that barrier wall that you see in the middle will remain in place but start coming out as we progress south. We'll be working predominantly in the center lane until we flip traffic over, and then we'll close the southbound lane and start building that one. So you'll see a lot of movement happening. Some things will be done at night, such as traffic shifts and what have you, but basically during season you'll see construction activities continuing as well.
Have you been able to pin down when you think it's going to be the busiest for you guys, so that maybe the residents have an idea around what time frame this year that in 2019 that it'll be really crowded?
Typically, the height of season, if you will, what we've noticed on the beach, it picks up, right now between Christmas and New Year's. Immediately following New Year's, it kind of dies off just a little bit, but towards the end of January, all the way through the Easter holiday, is pretty much the height of season. You'll have a lot of the northerners down here, people taking small vacations to escape the cold. So that's going to be the difficult period of time for everybody.
Talk about the bike lanes. What's going to be the end result? As you guys probably know, it's highly traveled for bikers on the sidewalk or off the sidewalk when there is a bike lane, or even in the roads. You have signs up there now that say that the drivers are supposed to share the lane with bikers. What's the end product for bikers going to look like?
Well, segment 1, because of the limited right-of-way, only a 50-foot right-of-way, in order to provide the pedestrian ways and the 9-foot wide sidewalks, the bikers are to share the lane with the drivers, just like you said. There's sharrows and signs letting the drivers know that they're to share the road. When you get past right up near the Red Coconut area and moving south, the right-of-way is wider. And from that point on, there will be bike lanes to be used. We do have a small section moving south where the right-of-way goes back to 50 foot, but particularly the provisions are going to be put in place to provide bike lanes, and then further down there's going to be some degree of a multi-use trail on the beach side down through the condo district and all that to make it user-friendly for pedestrians, the bicyclists, and, of course, the traveling public.
What do you want the bikers to know now about what's going on? I know there's an area, like you said, with the wall up in the middle of the road where you really you can't – there's no room to ride at all unless you're holding traffic up or behind traffic. You either get on the sidewalk or walk your bike until that section is completed. So what do you want them to know now?
I think bikers just need to use caution. It is a busy roadway with or without construction, especially in season. But with construction, it becomes increasingly, congested. Not that construction is going to hold traffic up any more than just the traffic itself does, but I think bicyclists should just use caution. We're putting provisions into place to move pedestrians and bicyclists the best we can while we still maintain two-way vehicle traffic and have an effective work area. And I think the best approach is for everybody on a bicycle is to use caution and, if you need to go that way, be careful as you do. If you don't, if there's another route that you can go ride, maybe that's an option as well. But to each their own on where they go on their bikes.
So everybody down there agrees this needed to be done, and at the end it's going to be great. There still seems to be a lot of frustration from residents, or even the town council sometimes seems to be getting frustrated, even though you knocked 5 years off the project. What can you say to the people that are getting frustrated?
We understand the frustration, and this project is a little more in depth than simply new roadway and new sidewalks. The level of effort that's going into the underground portion of the work is pretty extensive, and that's for the town as well as the county's project. We're dealing with a host of existing underground facilities and installing new or replacing old ones with new ones, and that's slow work. We have a water table that's very high most of the year. We have to dewater in order to dig the trenches. We have a limited area to work in. We have to haul material on and off of the beach. So while progression may seem slow, you'll see the pace start picking up. And we certainly understand the frustrations, but we have to get through the project and get it done. And with that, we'd like to point out that, for instance, the force main line, the sanitary sewer force main that was on the bay side, large diameter black pipe that everybody may have seen being installed, that's completed. It's 100% done down to curlew, and that portion of the project we don't have to worry about anymore. With that, the water main is progressing ahead of the roadway to get that done and out of the way, which will allow roadway to come right in behind and methodically move down the road where we got to do one lane, move traffic, do the next lane, move traffic. And then with the inverted crown and the brick pavers, that storm drain system, it takes a little time to install. We've had some conflicts that we've had to resolve, and we've done so. But that inverted crown eventually does go away, and we'll go back to a more traditional roadway system once we reach the right around Mingo.
Talk about your employees and how hard they're working to not only get as much work done as they can, but dealing with the residents that might sense their frustration or take out their frustration toward the employees if they ever did. But talk about the employees and how they're doing.
The employees are doing well. I mean, it's a tough job for them too. They got limited work areas and a lot of work that they got to get done. They're trying to take advantage of the best technology we can with them. A lot of my staff down there, all their plans and everything are on their iPads. So you may see a lot of people on their phones or on their devices, but that's where all their plans are at. So they have that at their disposal to try and be a little more efficient. The guys working in the area, as far as the general subcontractor trade guys, they do put up with a lot. They get some heckling and all that, and for the most part, they know just to grin and bear it, focus on their job, don't worry about what's said to them and what happens, and keep a positive attitude. I mean, it's a tough job, but we're there to do a job, and that's what we're going to do.
You also wanted to mention, I think, the website. What do you want people to know about the website and how you're keeping it up to date on what's going on?
The website for the project is actually maintained by the county's PIO officer, Solomon and Associates, with input from the town and the county.
Yeah, it's refreshfmbeach.com.
That's maintained. There's a lot of good, useful information and links on there. And if anybody does have any questions or concerns on the project, they're free to, contact Solomon and Associates, and they'd be happy to provide whatever information they can, as well as help resolve any issues that construction may be causing.
Do you still have a good relationship with the Fort Myers Beach Town Council?
Yeah, as far as the construction team and everything goes, yeah, it's a joint project. We do work together. And I think we're moving along well. It takes a lot of coordination between both entities to make everything happen, but I believe that's taking place.
What do you want the residents and businesses to know that we might not have covered? What do you want to say to them?
Just to bear with us, and we are doing the best we can to get this project done and move forward. We do have the best interest of the beach in mind. We're all the subcontractors out there are local, so we're all part of the end user of the project, and we're working to move forward with this job and to get it done and get it wrapped up and really help improve the beach.
And aside from the limited amount of space, what has been a big challenge for you on this project?
A lot of the existing underground conditions have been a big challenge. You have a beach that was built over time. We've collected as much data as we can, to understand what's out there, what has to be done. But unfortunately, there are surprises, and part of our job is to mitigate those and move forward, which is what we're doing now. We've done a lot of things to investigate. We've got some lessons learned and things that we are going to do moving forward. We're going to have a series of conflict boxes pre-made and sitting there on site. So if we need to put one in place to get around a existing underground utility conflict, we can do that and keep moving. We're trying to be as proactive as we can, but still work within the confines of the scope of the project, the limited right-of-way, and everything that has to be put into place in a specific.
You mentioned the underground situation. Have you been finding things underground that you never expected to when it comes to, what's going on down there?
No, not anything that we never really expected. It was just more so where things were and how they related to the new design and the new construction and how those things go together. We know there's a lot of existing facilities in place, and a lot of them will remain. But where exactly they are in relation to the new construction, that's what we have to determine as we go, and working closely with the design team and the county to identify those and find any solutions to problems and get those solutions implemented so the job can keep progressing.
Darin, Molly, did we miss anything? Is there anything else you want to make sure our listeners and our viewers should know about the project down there?
No, I think if anybody does have any questions, they should reach out to the resources that are available. And if there's any concerns or anything like that, we definitely want to hear about them and try and work with everybody to make sure we've got the bases covered and we're working as responsibly as we can and as efficiently as we can, but leaving a good quality product behind us as we go.
Molly, anything?
Like Darin said, if there's any issues at all, Darin had mentioned Solomon and Associates. That's the county's PIO as well as the town's PIO for both the water line and the roadway project. Their office is there to communicate with the construction managers any issues or concerns that need to be mitigated or addressed. And we're happy to do that. And again, our staff there on the ground, Darin and his guys, are there as well in the roadway. So, we're happy, like I said, dispel any rumors, communicate anything, fix any concerns, issues, those types of things. That's what part of our responsibility is. So.
And the name of the website, again, is refreshfmbeach.com, and on it has the latest news. It has when water is going to be shut off. It even has a live traffic cam, so that's a great resource for people to check out as well and stay up to date on how it's going down there. Great. Molly, Darin, thanks so much for coming on. We appreciate your time, and good luck this season.
Thanks, Ed. Appreciate it.
Thanks again to Darin Brown and Molly Scott from Chris-Tel Construction, and thank you for listening to Beach Talk Radio bonus episode number 1. Don't forget our Saturday morning show is broadcast live every Saturday on Facebook from Pete's Time Out on Fort Myers Beach. The time is 9 a.m. to 10 a.m. Eastern. Visit our website, beachtalkradio.com, and become a supporter of the show if you'd like. You can hear all of our shows on the Apple Podcast app, iHeartRadio, Spotify, and we even have our own app that you can download from the Apple Store. Thanks again for listening to Beach Talk Radio's bonus episode number 1.